So welcome everyone to the May edition of Domus Academy Disruptive Patterns Talk series. During this series, we deal with various topics related to design, research, contemporary and future themes. Sustainability, green, fashion, inclusion are the keywords at the basis of our guest profession and, I dare to say, life. My name is Gaya Calabrò. I'm the program leader of the Master in Luxury Brand Management and Fashion Management in Domus Academy. And today we have the pleasure to host Giuseppe Stigliano, Global CEO of Spring Studios. Hi, Giuseppe, welcome. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Hi, thank you for being with us. Giuseppe is a versatile professional, I would say, with an extensive experience across multiple domains, including entrepreneurship, management, authorship, and is widely recognized as a keynote speaker and moderator. Having earned a PhD in marketing and economics, he collaborated on 3 books with, I would say, the father of marketing, if we could define him like that, Philip Kotler. And I would like to start this talk with this experience, how it has been writing 3 books with the father of marketing, Philip Kotler. We would love to have some insights on this experience, Giuseppe.
Well, first of all, thanks so much for having me. It's a great pleasure. And I always love and always try to take all opportunities to share my thoughts and experiences with students. And of course, Domus Academy is a super institution, and I'm so glad to be here. So thanks so much. Philip is turning 93 in 48 hours. So it's literally the day after tomorrow is turning 93. I am 43. So basically, I ended up writing 3 books with someone who is not only considered the father of marketing and sold 80 million copies all over the world, wrote 65 books, marketing books. 4 generations of marketers have studied on his books, but he is also someone who is 50 years older than me. Now, you can imagine when you write a book with someone who is 50 years older than you and has 50 years of experience more than you, it's an interesting journey. It's a roller coaster. It's always like, hey, Phil, I think I have a great idea. Why don't we talk about whatever? And systematically, he was telling me, well, that's a great point. Please see attached a paper that I wrote in 1978 on this topic. And he knew everything already, so it was impossible to say something surprising, something great, something different. And even when it comes to, the metaverse and NFTs and all these things that are, of course, very, say, current, new, and recent, he is still very sharp. He is very opinionated. He knew exactly where we were going, and so on and so forth. So it was a great journey. I've learned such a huge amounts of things from Phil. But everything started in 2017 when I gave a talk during the Philip Kotler Marketing Forum, which was this event, that big conference that he used to bring around the world. And I was the probably very last keynote speaker on day 2. And of course, he was the main keynote speaker on day 1. So it was not even supposed to be in the room during my talk. 10 minutes before my talk, they told me, oh, he's actually in the room and he's there and he's going to listen to you. I was super nervous, super anxious. I hold a PhD in marketing. So you can imagine it is as if you told a child, hey, there is Spider-Man in the garden, you can go downstairs and play whatever with him. That's more or less the same, right? So for me, it was my superhero, and my superhero was in the room listening to my talk, so anxious, so nervous, but it worked. It went very well. I managed to channel the anxiety and the adrenaline in the right direction, and my talk was, decent, let's say. So he liked it, and then we started talking. And at some point, he told me, "You should write a book, because most of the books about marketing and retail out there are either written by academics, so professors, like full-time professors, and typically they lack a bit of hands-on experience, or they're written by the former CEO of Unilever, or big companies, which of course they have a ton of experience, but it's very hard for a small medium enterprise in Italy, for example, in a different industry, to connect with those ideas and those concepts. It's completely different economic reality, completely different industry and scenario. So he thought that it was a good idea for me to write a book, because I could provide with some sort of hybrid perspective, a blend of the, again, academic, because I hold my PhD in marketing and economics. And so the academic rigor, when you do research, you cite your sources, you structure your thoughts in a way that you have some guiding principles, and it's very consistent, and the typical structured approach that you have as a professor, as an academic. At the same time, I was the CEO of a company. I had 80 plus clients. I was serving clients all over the world, different industries, different markets, different needs. And so I could blend the two perspectives in a way that he thought it was very complementary to his perspective and his depth, considering the experience he has. And so we ended up writing this book together. And that was the first book. First book was 2018. And it was an insane success, at least for my standards. I had no standards, basically, so everything would be a success. But, the book was translated into Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Polish, Turkish, English, Spanish, Italian, of course, distributed all over the world. At some point, they told me that we will reach 100,000 people. Now 200,000 after, we wrote 3 books now. But, 100,000 people had read my thoughts, my ideas, my experience. That was an incredible privilege. And it was just the beginning of a crazy journey, which led me where I am today.
I mean, this is great. I understand why you are talking about roller coaster, and I think that having that opportunity, it is, as you were saying, like balancing both the academic and the professional side. It is what we are doing, with our students as well. What we ask them is that together with the hard skills, that are developing, they need to understand and to develop their soft skills. So they have to learn this approach. Learning by doing is the best approach that they can have during their academic path, to bring them that then in their future career. So talking about that, about the experience, the hands-on experience that you had, and talking about the last of the 3 book, redefining retail, you are touching a lot of different components that I think that are key when we talk about marketing. But I think that there is one point that is the starting point of everything. You're talking about the change as a constant. So there is this evolution in the concept of marketing, evolution in the concept of commerce itself, and of course the evolution of the retail. So, would you like to give us some insight on this idea of evolving a concept?
Yeah. So, I mean, thanks for the question. It's, of course, I love talking about this. Um, you know, for again, Kotler is the father of marketing, probably the grandfather now, considering that he's 93. But he created marketing as we know it. And as a marketer, I believe there is a big, huge, I would say, misunderstanding when it comes to marketing. If you ask people, like even people who are completely disconnected from our world, from what we do, you just stop someone in the street and you ask the question, what is marketing? Everybody has an idea of what marketing is, because of course it's an abused word, and in some cases a misused word, right? People would say it's just marketing, to mean that it's not real, to mean that it's like lipstick on a pig, right? It's like a makeup. It's a way to make up things. And it's just inappropriate. This is not what marketing is. This is not true to the original idea of Philip Kotler, the father of marketing. Um, and the misconception is linked to an abuse of the discipline of the word that has been done in the last, I'd say, 20 years or 30 years. But if you go back to the roots, if you check the very first definition of marketing from Phil, the idea was that marketing should be about fine-tuning supply and demand. If you fine-tune supply and demand, the sales process becomes very easy. Actually, Peter Drucker, the father of management, and Philip Kotler, the father of marketing, they both believe that if marketing is done well, sales becomes useless. Of course, it's a provocation, but it's a way to say that the job of a marketer is not to push what a company does. On the contrary, the job of a marketer is to understand what people want, need, and desire, to the point that they would go back and tell the company, hey guys, this is the problem we need to solve. This is what people need. This is how we can build on that insight to create a product that allows you, us as a company, to perfectly align with the evolution of a trend and to align with customer expectations. And again, I'm not talking about asking people what they want, right? Harry Ford's quotes about if we had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, right? So they wouldn't have said cars, because you cannot, if the means of transportation is a horse, you cannot figure out as a customer that the evolution of that is a car. The evolution of that is a faster horse, right? It's a better, more efficient, faster way to go from A to B, which is the essence of mobility. So I'm not saying that you can ask people what they want, and then you can infer what the company should do. I'm saying, and we marketers know it very well, that it's all about observing people's behaviors, processing and analyzing data about the customer journey, and then elaborate with the human brains, elaborate that insight in a way that you are able to predict the future, to create something that is not there yet and that is able to perfectly intercept a trend and potentially a future demand. So in a nutshell, marketing is not about making people want things. It is about making things people want, which is completely different. So we should stop, professionals, we should stop nurturing this perception that marketing is about a pushy way to sell more. Marketing is not about helping companies dispose of what they make. It's not about, oh, what else can we make and sell today? Marketing is about, what else can we do for the customer? It's about, let's try to infer, based on evidence, data, observation, what people might need in the near future, so that we are the first mover in a new industry or on a new trend. And I can give you plenty of examples of this trend. So, and I will make some examples if you want. The idea is, marketing is about 4 Ps, right? So product, price, place, and promotion. Promotion is one of the 4 Ps, making people want things, but it's just one of the four. Marketing should inform the product, service, experience, innovation strategy. So what is the new product? What is the new flavor? What is the new taste? What is the new color? What is the new shape? What is the new material, the new fabric, whatever it is? Should help the company understand what is the price that people are willing to pay for that product, and what is the role of the brand in enhancing the perception so that you can increase the value, hence the profit for the company, and people are still happy to spend that money because they recognize the intrinsic and extrinsic value of that product, service, or experience. It is about the place, so the sales and communication channels, specifically distribution channels that you choose to make that product available. Perhaps it's a capsule collection, you can only buy it in a specific store, or is a collaboration, you can only buy it online, or it's something that is sold by an influencer on a live shopping channel for a limited amount of time, and so on. You create the urgency, you create that anxiety, a scarcity that you want to create. So you can manage those levers to create that. And then 4th P, promotion. How do you promote? What is the story you tell? How do you celebrate the virtues of that product, service, of experience? This is marketing. The 4th piece, not just one. And so again, it's not about making people want things. It is about making things people want.
Yeah, I think that this is a very interesting point, because we should highlight all the 4 Ps in order to understand if a strategy is working or not. No, so it's not only one point. Even when we analyze any best practice or even worst practice, no, we should have that in mind every time. And then you said for the P of place is where it comes the retail, that is not only a sales channel, right? No, but it is a marketing channel as well. So it's where they use it to define it. The moment of truth, the moment when you really understand if what you have created after that long research about what the customer wants and what it is on trend, and as you said, all these elements, the scarcity, so based on the identity of a brand, based on the positioning, and so on and so forth, if they are working, they are correctly working. And I think that in that, digital has had a lot of influence in the last years, in changing these scenarios, right?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And the problem is exactly that when digital came into play, into the equation, something new happened. So the customer journey went from being relatively predictable, relatively linear, with this awareness, appeal, ask, act, advocate steps. It was reasonably predictable and quite linear. When digital hit, something new happened for the first time. Presence and location decoupled for the first time. So you don't need to go to a store physically to interact with what they sell and potentially to buy. So if you decouple the two things, you basically revolutionize the customer journey and you change retail for good. If you apply that to the entire customer journey, it means that even when it comes to the very first step in the customer journey, so awareness, you can become aware of a product in a ton of different ways, online, offline, both. New tools, new social, new platforms, completely different. Ask how many different ways you have to get information about the product. You can read reviews, you can check online, you can write on your whatever, Facebook or Instagram, whatever, LinkedIn page, and ask people, your community, your fans, followers, friends, to interact and tell you what they think. Completely different. Advocate. In the past, before the digital world, let's say, if you were not happy about a product, you would probably speak with 5, 10, 20 people. Today, the revolution was such that the concept itself of point of sale or point of purchase today is broken. Maybe the transaction is not happening there. Maybe people are going to a physical brick and mortar store. They browse, they look around, they experience the product, they interact with salespeople, they familiarize with the product, they try the product in some cases, they try it on if it's a cloth, but then they go back home and they buy online in many cases. So are we still calling that place a point of sale or a point of purchase? I don't think so. I mean, it's not about purchase or selling anymore. It's about experience. And so what is the role of stores? What is the customer journey? And so we started saying, okay, the customer journey is now phygital, right? So it's physical and digital at the same time. And the number of channels and touch points is way bigger than in the past. Hence, we can no longer talk about a multi-channel strategy where we interact with multiple sales and communication channels, because the channels are so many that the customer experience will be extremely fragmented and customers will be upset. They will buy a product online, maybe a pair of whatever Nike shoes on a Zalando website, and then they receive the product and they're not happy. The color is not the right one, the number is not the right one. So what a normal customer would do, they take, like the regular customer, they take the shoes, they go to the Nike store in their town and say, hey, can I get a different number, a different color? And the Nike store will tell you, no, actually, because you bought it online from a different supplier, it's not our website, you cannot return the product here. People got upset. They just didn't get it. People don't see channels. People see brands and interact with brands. So for them, it was just the same brand. So all these frictions and all this friction in general, like as a whole, was a big problem. So consultants and marketers started realizing that it was not a good idea to have a multi-channel strategy, meaning each and every channel, and then try to harmonize, because that harmonization was impossible to achieve considering the fragmentation of channels. And they started saying we should do omni-channel, which means that you put the customer at the center and you design the customer experience and you try to be everywhere. If the customer wants to interact with you online, offline, on a brochure, on a website, on all social media platforms that are available, you should just be there everywhere, because the customer centricity is the mantra and the customer is king. We did that for a while, and then we ended up realizing that there are too many channels and that you need too much money to be present everywhere, and you need to invest so much media dollars or euros to ensure visibility, to promote the content. Otherwise, you can produce whatever you want, but nobody would see it. And so at some point, we realized that even omni-channel, it's not working, because no one has enough people, like human resources, to take care of all these channels and platforms and touchpoints, and the budget, money to reach that critical threshold on each and every platform. So yes, it's a great idea to be everywhere, because this is what people want, customers. However, it's impossible. So if multi-channel is broken because it's too fragmented, and the solution is omni-channel, but then it's not a real solution because you cannot be everywhere, what is the real solution? What we argue in the book is that the real solution is opti-channel, where opti stands for optimization or optimizing. So the idea is, yes, you need to listen to the customer, you need to understand what are the customer's preferred channels and ways of interacting with you. However, that doesn't mean necessarily that you need to be everywhere. You need to make your choice based on your budget, on your priorities, on the way you want to engineer the customer journey, on the budget you can dispose of, and so on and so forth. And at that point, you optimize based on your budget availability, on your human resource, like people availability, on the digital alphabetization of your customers, and also on the digital maturity of your organization. Once you have that clear, you can do whatever you want, but you optimize based on that information, as opposed to just try to be everywhere. Now, the problem is, additional problem or opportunity, if you want, few companies have the maturity to understand Optichannel, because you need a ton of data and the ability to elaborate, to process, to analyze data in a way that you turn them into relevant information upon which you can build the foundations of your strategy. And it's easier said than done. So when I speak with companies as a consultant and I tell them, guys, you should optimize, you shouldn't be everywhere, you should be where it makes sense, they tell me, how can I determine where it makes sense? And I'm like, of course, you have data, you analyze data. And they're like, no, we don't have data. I'm working with a company as a consultant. They generate 1 million tickets every month. It doesn't mean 1 million customers, because of course there are returning customers, but 1 million tickets, 1 million transactions. I mean, for me, that is the holy grail, right? We have so much information available to analyze and to do business intelligence. So I asked, what are we doing with that million tickets? And they're like, nothing. We have no idea. We don't know what's happening. We know, of course, what the transaction is about and what we're selling, but we know nothing about the buyer. That's a missed opportunity to optimize. And so they just spray and pray their budget, hoping that it's the right thing to do. It's just broken. It's wrong. It's old. If you add to this dilemma or this complexity the fact that the world is no longer digital, so physical and digital, but we have a third dimension that is the virtual world, meaning that the customer journey is today 3D, three-dimensional, physical, digital, and virtual. This adds a plethora of touch points to the equation, which makes that coordination and seamless omni-channel, opti-channel, whatever, a customer experience a nightmare. Because, you know, if you are a gamer and you play Fortnite, today on Fortnite, you can buy a BMW, a Moncler jacket, and a Ralph Lauren polo shirt for your avatar on Fortnite. Now, which means that if you're Moncler, your customer journey is three-dimensional, because you are dealing with interactions, touch points, and contacts between potential customers and your brand that are in the virtual, digital, and physical world. How do you harmonize all of that? It's a nightmare, trust me. It's impossible. And so, you know, I'm trying to help some companies doing a bit better when it comes to these things, but it's very hard.
Yeah, I don't think that is an easy solution. There is an easy solution. In the book as well, you are talking about the KPIs as well. No, how the company should measure these the results now of performance of these of the sales on the different platform, and this is interesting as well. No, because when you have difficulties in understanding where you should invest, no, then it's even more difficult to find a way that is easier to measure in that sense. So talking about the virtual, now going back to this to the virtual, what do you think is the future of the metaverse or NFT? Because we have spoken a lot about metaverse in last year at least, and now it seems now to be something that is not on trend anymore, or at least is there as another platform, you know, as another possibility for the companies. And it seems that after the booming, you know, everyone investing, luxury brand investing in that a lot, now it is like everyone is looking at that, like what is going to happen. So I'm curious, it's just my curiosity.
So the metaverse was probably one of the biggest mistakes in my career. I was so convinced a year ago, maybe a bit more, that it was going to become mainstream and take over, that I almost invested $150,000 to buy land in the metaverse to build Spring Studios there, because I wanted to host virtual events for avatars. And for the same brands we're working with in the physical world, so let's say the Gucci's of the world, in the metaverse. So I was like, if Gucci is my client in New York in the real world, and they have a store, they're selling their NFT products in the central end, if I build my virtual office there, they will probably want to work with me even in that dimension. And so I thought that was a great captive audience and captive pool of potential clients. And I just wanted to be there and to be bold and to make a big investment. And then for a number of coincidences, I had to wait. And the more I waited, the more I realized that it was probably not a good idea, because the metaverse was not going to become mainstream anytime soon. And so luckily, I didn't invest that money. But just to give you an idea, I was ready to click the buy button at some point. And so I mean, that was my biggest mistake last year, probably. It didn't happen, so not a real mistake, but I was mistaken. My perception was wrong. So that was something I had to sort of digest and accept as a failure in my career. I don't believe it's that. I don't believe it is wrong. I don't believe it was just a bubble. I do believe the future of the internet is a blend of immersive technologies, and we will surf the internet in a way more immersive way. I don't see why new generations are so used to immersive experiences such as Fortnite, for example, or FIFA, or whatever video game, should check their bank account on a bidimensional, flat, boring website for their bank. And why shouldn't they just have a more immersive experience with a simulation of natural interaction with an avatar? Maybe I don't know if you have tried ChatGPT 4.0, but I'm having, I would say, regular conversations with ChatGPT in Spanish because I'm trying to practice my Spanish. And so every day, or maybe every couple of days, I just speak Spanish with ChatGPT. And first interaction is, can we please speak Spanish? And ChatGPT would tell me, yes, of course, let's do it. And we start speaking Spanish. And after 10 minutes, I would say, can you please send me a recap of all the mistakes that I've made and suggest me how to improve? And not only the voice, I mean, natural language, right? I'm speaking with ChatGPT, right? Not only I would get the sort of the text version of all my mistakes if I want to print it or send it to myself, my email, or just keep it there. It would also speak to me and explain to me as if it was a professor or whatever sparring partner to learn a language, right? And that's very natural. That's very immersive, if you want, because I'm just doing whatever I want. And not immersive reality, but immersive as an experience, because I'm just speaking my language as if I was with a person in the physical world. I do believe that this is the future of the internet, and I do believe that some sort of blend of virtual, augmented, natural language, AI-powered world will soon be the norm. And NFTs, NFT to me it means nothing. NFT to me is the future of the internet. It's part of that, in the sense that, of course, we will need to find a way, whether it's blockchain or whatever other technology, to ensure that we protect ownership as much as we do in the physical world, in the virtual and digital world. So it's just something that I take for granted. Probably that version of NFTs last year was the infancy of the real thing, but for sure that would be the norm. There is no way why my son would buy a BMW for $8 on Fortnite and that BMW shouldn't be, considering that I'm paying with my money, by the way, that BMW shouldn't be owned by my son's avatar, hence my son. And there is no reason why that asset shouldn't be, marketable, right? Sellable to another player in the same platform, or even in another platform, because there is this interoperability issue to consider. So I just believe that we have underestimated the time and overestimated the impact. But that doesn't mean that it is not meant to happen in the next few years. That's my sort of take on that. I also wanted to answer a question that I got in the chat.
Now we'll go back to that, because I think.
Oh, sorry. So you drive. Sorry.
Because then we will open it to other questions.
Got it.
I wanted just to conclude before leaving to everyone time for questions. So please start writing them down in chat, so like that Giuseppe can answer. Going back to what you were saying, I think that it's really interesting, the fact that you're talking about immersive experience, and when we talk about video games, we're talking about maybe generation alpha that is playing with that video game. So we are creating in them already. They are aspirational target for some of the brands that you have named before, no? And it is that a way to start create a relationship with the customer, or with the future customer, with the one that will be a customer. It's that way to create loyalty, probably, because this is another point that I see is creating some difficulties in the brand, because we are somehow overwhelmed, and at the same time, probably is, in that sense, as you were saying, is a question of time, is an ongoing maturity process as well, like the process that moved us from multi-channel to omni-channel, and now to omni-channel to Optichannel. So probably is the same thing and the same approach. So the big question of the customer, the relationship with the customer, and the lifetime value of this relationship.
So it's a great question. It's a big question. I don't even know what loyalty is, frankly. I don't see a reason why people should be loyal to a brand. They're barely loyal to other people. Can you imagine why they should be loyal to a brand? Loyalty, I feel loyalty is more a construct of marketers than a real thing. People tend to buy or rebuy the same product, either because it makes sense, it's convenient, it simplifies their life, they know what they're buying, they buy the same milk every day, the same pasta every day, layer one. Layer two, so it's convenient, it's simple, it simplifies their choice in their lives. Level two, because we live in a world where brands are a tool to nurture our identity and our image. So what we tell ourselves about ourselves, and what we tell others about ourselves. So if I drive a Ferrari, I'm telling something to myself about myself, so I feel cool. And I'm telling others something about myself, right? Is probably a successful, whatever, entrepreneur, manager, whatever it is, successful person. I'm telling something. So it's a shortcut to build or nurture my image and my identity. And so I can be loyal to a brand because I know that if I am an iPhone owner, I'm probably seen as someone who is cool, creative, modern. While if I own a whatever, Huawei or Xiaomi or Samsung phone, I'm a different person. It's associated with different traits of my personality. This is the power of brands, right? So in that case, I'm loyal because I'm trading money and probably a premium price or extra money for, immaterial, intangible assets that are instrumental to build my personality, and so it's a fair trading to me. Maybe I'm loyal to a brand because I don't want to reinvent the wheel. And so I don't want to waste my time learning how to use a new platform, or discovering that I'm not happy with the quality of a different product, or I don't know, tons of reasons. But it's all about a transaction. So in the, let's say, human to human interactions, you can be loyal to someone because you love the person. I don't see the same with brands. Yes, of course, we talk about love marks, we talk about this, but it's not the same. It's, to me, I mean, that's my, I know it's a bold sort of a statement. I don't think loyalty, there is not such a thing. Loyalty in the business world is about transactions. That it can be a transaction, an emotional transaction, right? It can be about how do you feel. It can be how do you nurture your personality, and the dopamine that is released every time that you buy something. Yes, of course, you have the physical repercussions and good emotions, but it doesn't mean that there is the same identical chemistry, let's say, involved. So, what is loyalty? If we go back to my idea, loyalty is a trading. I give you something, you give me something back. It's do ut des, as Latins used to say. Does the virtual three-dimensional customer journey, is the 3D customer journey impacted, or loyalty in a 3D customer journey is changing? Of course. I mean, I don't even know what it means for a human being using an avatar in Fortnite, buying a product. What is the emotional connection you're building with that brand? Are you nurturing the relationship with that brand and so fostering the loyalty, or it's seen as a cold transactional thing because it's an avatar, so it's not you? I don't have the answer. This is a brand new word. I have no clue. And it's all about learning by doing, and it's all about experimentation, and it's all about continuous improvement, and fail fast and learn quick. And so, yeah, I mean, that's the exciting side of the story when it comes to marketers' life these days.
Great challenge, I would say.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Giuseppe. Okay, so let's go back to the question. We have nearby Rana that is asking, what's your take on arrogant marketing strategies of luxury brands? I love this definition, arrogant.
Yeah, they are.
They are.
I think they are, right? So I'll give you an example. There is an author, marketing professor, author, public speaker, many things, thinker. His name is Scott Galloway. I don't know if you are familiar with him. Scott Galloway is one of the most visionary, smart, clever entrepreneurs, managers, professors, thinkers, authors that I have ever met in my life and know. But it's also probably the most irritating person I know, right? It's just the way he is. It's his personality. It's either you take it or you live it. I'm sure everybody here in the room knows some people were simply arrogant, and either you decide not to spend time with them, or you decide to tolerate for whatever irrational reason, maybe because they are your parents or your brother or your sister or your old friends, or because, as in the case of Scott Galloway, you get so much value every time that you listen to a talk or a podcast or you read an article that you maybe start thinking that they are simply very cynical and it's just their personality, and they're not just interpreting the role, and they're just the way they are. So no matter the reason, no matter what's behind, the result is that in some cases we just end up accepting and dealing with arrogant people. I think it's just the same with brands. Maybe some brands deliberately decide to be arrogant because they believe this is going to be a core trait of their personality. Leave it or take it. If that is deliberate and it's part of the personality they're trying to build for their brand, I don't see any problem. It means that there is someone who is taking the responsibility of that choice, and they're building a personality for that brand, and as a consequence for their products and services and whatever they sell. If it's deliberate, it's a risk that they take. If it works, they'll be successful. Otherwise, it'd be their problem, right? I only see this as a problem, whether it's arrogance or whatever other trait, if it's not deliberate, if it's the consequence of negligence or lack of understanding of the complexity of social dynamics, or misconception, misunderstanding of the social fabric or a specific culture. And when Dolce & Gabbana a few years ago released that video with a Chinese young woman dealing with Cannolo Siciliano, with this voiceover, which was frankly, I wouldn't say arrogant, just probably not elegant, to be gentle. They had a problem because they just didn't show any empathy for the culture of one of their, probably the main country in which they sell their products, and that's a lack of respect. So that was arrogance, probably not exactly arrogance, but just wrongdoing and wrong behavior, and they paid their bills. They paid the consequence, at least for a while. So again, and that was not deliberate, or at least it was, but they wanted to obtain a different result, so it didn't work. So long story short, I don't see it as a problem per se, as long as it's deliberate and it's part of a strategy to build a personality. If it doesn't work, it would be a wrong business decision. If it works, it would be a good, celebrated business decision. And everybody will say that was a great idea to build a personality that is different from everyone else, and that it's so aligned with the essence of the brand and the DNA of the brand and the whatever, you know what I mean? So I don't see this as a problem per se, as far as it's a choice and it's deliberate.
Thank you, Giuseppe. So moving forward, we have Alexandra Petkova. She's asking, first of all, thank you for your interesting speech. So she is asking about the marketing mix of 4 Ps, and I think that we have already discussed the importance of maintaining, that balance among the 3 Ps. But then she's asking about Maslow pyramid, asking if, do you think that is still relevant for today's business? And then she's saying there is a newer strategy by Harvard, Elements of Value, and she wanted to have an opinion, your opinion on that. So many different questions in one.
Yeah, so let me break it down. Let's break it down. You said, I'm trying to read the question. It's Alexander's question, right? So 4P, same thing about Maslow pyramid. Do you think it is still working for today's business world? There is a newer strategy by Harvard, Elements of Value. Yes, I am asking because we had a class today on it, and I would like to. Okay, got it. So let me because I wrote a book with Philip Kotler, is 93, and if I say that things are no longer working, things from the past are no longer working, it will probably kill me. So say it again.
You have to be
yeah, of course, very political. Yeah, exactly.
Very politically correct.
Let's put it this way. Even if you look at the 4 Ps, they have been rewritten, added, changed so many times, and I've seen so many different versions. But I still refer to the 4 Ps for a reason. I still believe that the essence of business, of marketing, is the same. And it's all about the right product at the right price, sold through the right channels, and communicated through the right channels and touch points and so on. Then of course you can say, no, wait a minute, there are also people, packaging, purpose. Yes, but that's an evolution of society, and it makes sense. So when it comes to the 4Ps, when it comes to Maslow pyramid, same story. Of course, there is probably what they call it self-transcendence, and instead of self-realization or something like that. Of course, they've added something, and it makes sense. It's a great article, and I remember it, and it just works. But I believe the value in the Maslow pyramids is not in the details, because of course, even in that case, it depends on the society, it depends on the sophistication reached by that specific society, in a specific moment in history and so on. But I think the value of that pyramid and the value of the 4Ps is in the core idea. Then of course you can build, you can update and upgrade, but the core is there is no way you can bypass some levels unless you have reached the previous one and you're happy with that. So there is no way you can contemplate, frugal options if you're starving. Yeah, that's the basic of the Maslow pyramid. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, yes, there will be many upgraded and updated versions of old theories, and it's worth paying attention to them. And we can have the perception and the feeling that the old one is no longer valid, considering the way that's been built 50, 60, 40, whatever years ago. But it doesn't mean that it's no longer valid per se. It's still valid. It just needs an upgrade. Otherwise, it's as if you said that, the language that was spoken in your country 150 years ago doesn't make sense anymore. I mean, to some extent, it's true, because probably they wouldn't understand you if you spoke that sort of version of your language. At the same time, the current one wouldn't exist without that one. So it's always about building with the past instead of on the past, right? It's with the past, you build with the past and you improve. So my short answer is, I hear you. In many instances, especially in our sophisticated, evolved societies, it's not easy to just copy paste or apply that version, but it doesn't mean that they're no longer valid.
Thank you, Giuseppe. I would move to the question we received from Julia Lee Cunningham. What role do you think luxury brands can and should play in driving more sustainable and ethical practices across the fashion and consumer goods industries?
Well, it is quite clear that they must play a role. If you think about it, fashion is the second most polluting industry in the world after oil. So there is no way you can neglect the environmental, social, economic impact of the fashion industry. And of course, the world has changed a lot from the 70s, when Milton Friedman, Nobel Prize for Economy, said the business of business is business, meaning every single penny that you as a business invest in a direction that is different from the maximization of profit and shareholders' value is wasted, because that's not the job of a company. The job of a company is to maximize profit. That was the 70s. Today, if you say something like that, they will probably, take you to jail, because they would think that you are, crazy and dangerous as a human being. So we talked a lot about the triple bottom line. People, planet, hence profit. And in my last book, there is a chapter, and the title is People, Planet, Purpose, hence profit. Hence as a consequence, right? So, I mean, for sure, there is a role to play, and for sure, brands should figure out what is that role. Having said that, it is not clear what that role should be, because, or if you want, how to play that role. I remember having had this conversation with the CEO of Gucci some time ago, and he was like, if I find another person who tells me that I need to be sustainable, I kill them. And the reason is not that I don't believe I should be sustainable. Of course, I must be sustainable. The problem is that no one is telling me how, considering that I am an established brand, that I've been around for a while, that I have a very fragmented value chain and supply chain. And if I wanted to track every single step, considering how many small suppliers and sub-suppliers and subcontractors I have all over the world, and if I really wanted to track every single step, maybe using blockchain, I would need to invest such a huge amount of money. And then, of course, I know that in the medium to long term, I will have a return on my investment. The problem is, in the short term, I will have a strong impact because I need to hack the entire supply chain and change the way I've been working for the last, 20 years. And if you are the CEO of a public company, you don't have the luxury in a recession, especially, to overinvest that way. And I give you, because of course you will need to present the quarter review to the shareholders, the stock exchange, the press release with the investor relations and And you can always claim that you have invested money in sustainability, which is good. It's good PR return, and it's the right thing to do for the planet. Yes, but if you don't have the money to invest in marketing and advertising, and your sales starts going down, either you get fired, or you are in trouble. And so, considering that the average tenure, are you still there? I have lost. Can you confirm that can you still? Oh no, she's back. Gaya, are you back? Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. If you consider that the average tenure of a CEO today is 5 years, then in some cases they stay 15, but the average is 5 years. And the average tenure of a CFO is 4, and CMO is 3. And then you realize that a sustainability transformation would take 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 years to pay back, because it's a medium to long-term return on investment. Would you, as a manager, considering that you are probably going to stay there for 3, 4 years and then you will go somewhere else, start and engage in a complicated, painful process that will take 10 years to pay back, considering that you will probably be somewhere else and that your successor will see the results and benefit from that initiative way more than you will do in the next few years? It's hard. It's hard. So the short answer is yes, of course they should. They must. Problem is how. And it's not that easy to understand.
Thank you very much, Giuseppe. There is one last question. So Giulia again is saying, what is your advice to luxury brands trying to maintaining their exclusivity and prestige while also staying relevant to younger generation of consumers? I think that is related with the purpose once again, no?
Yeah, totally. Sorry, I've also sent everybody a message. So if you want to stay in touch, you can just leave me your email there.
Thank you very much.
I was reading that Alexander is saying, sorry for these spicy questions. Now that I've realized that you're recording, I'm even more scared. Sorry,
yeah.
Giulia question, the last one. What is your advice to luxury brand trying to maintain their exclusivity and prestige while also staying relevant to younger generation of customers? Yeah. I don't know. What I'm seeing is that there is no one size fits all. So what I could tell you might be valid for some brands and completely useless for others. what I'm witnessing and observing and studying is one very peculiar trait of younger generations. And I have two kids, so I know very well. Many people say, yeah, younger generations, they pay a lot of attention to sustainability. And if you interview younger generations, they will tell you that sustainability is a priority for them. And then you check the results of, fast fashion brands or less sustainable brands. And yes, of course, they're seeing like a reflection, but they're still doing fairly well. So at some point, people start saying, yeah, but there's a big gap between what they declare, what they say, what they state, and what they do. So they're not consistent. They're not coherent. They don't walk the talk. I don't believe this is accurate. I believe the problem or the opportunity, if you want, with new generations is that I'm talking about the privileged part of the world, not, of course, emerging countries or poor countries. Think about the Maslow pyramid or the other version. But in the privileged part of the world, we got to a point, and the internet accelerated this process, where we can have whatever we want whenever we want it. And maybe we don't have the money to have exactly whatever we want, but we have some sort of version of whatever we want. But that sensation, that feeling of power, you can have whatever you want whenever you want it, created that habit, especially in younger generations. So when I am with my son who is 8 or with my daughter who is 10 on a plane and there is no Wi-Fi signal, my son would ask me, can I go online? I'm like, no, there's no Wi-Fi, sorry, we need to wait. He doesn't get it. After 5 minutes, he asks me the question again. What about now? I'm like, no, we can't. We're flying and there is no Wi-Fi. He doesn't get it. It's just, he's so used to be always connected and to get whatever he wants, including, I don't recall the name of the city, or I don't recall the name of the whatever, or I don't know how to overcome that level or that monster when I play a video game. Can I check the tutorial on YouTube, learn something and apply? Basically, impassioned generation, an impassioned generation is there. They just have no patience. It's a zero latency. They wait zero time for anything. The consequence is that they want everything and anything every time. So the problem is not that they declare that they want sustainability and then they're not consistent. The problem is that they want everything. They want design, sustainability, style, very good manufacturing, the great quality, the fabric. They want everything because this is the way their brain developed since they were born, or at least in the last few years, if they are older. So bottom line is, I think younger generations are interested in everything and anything. They want no compromises. So the big deal for brands today is that they don't know how to prioritize sustainability, D&I, price, so be aggressive and sell cheap, to be more, again, aggressive towards a younger generation, and so on and so forth. So it's just complicated because they don't know what to do and where to start from. It's everything and anything at the same time.
Thank you, Giuseppe. So I think that with that we have concluded. I was very, very happy to have you here as an host. So thank you again for being with us, and hope to talk to you soon. Thank you very much, Giuseppe.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you can see the chat, but I've pasted my Substack. So basically, it's a great way to stay in touch. Feel free to click and leave me your email if you want. And if you want to circulate that link internally, I'd be very happy to.
Yes, you have received one email for sure, email address.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
We will connect you with the students that would like to. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye. Thank you
again. Ciao, Giuseppe. Thank you very much.
Ciao.
Bye-bye. Ciao.